Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 235 of Your Take Two podcast, the one that has a strange hankering for crab legs with Old Bay this morning. I don't know why that is. Maybe we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Brian, how are you this morning?
I'm doing quite well. I love that Old Bay was used in that scene. We will discuss that a little bit
That is,
later on.
I will give a spoiler alert, that's the best part of that movie, and it got an actual star, full star for my rating just from that.
So I got 1 star. No, we'll get to that then. All right, brother. Here's what I spoke with Bobby. I spoke with Sam about our show.
Okay.
Sam has been around for a while. He's commented on our socials many times. I was chatting with him because we hadn't in a while, and he hit me up about something else, and I was like, buddy, we haven't heard from you on the show. And he said he's still listening, just not on the socials as much. Bobby is a new listener. Bobby, what's up? Bobby's actually my tattoo guy. So anybody in Maryland, you want a great tattoo artist, let me know. But
Get the
here's some
Take-Two
things.
logo, maybe, somebody? That would be good.
I'd be down, right?
Free Patreon subscription. If you get a Take-Two logo tattooed on your body, we'll give you a free Patreon for life. Send you whatever, all sorts of stuff. I'll send you shirts, hats, DVDs, Funkos. I'll give you the whole shebang.
Yeah, I can't even fathom getting that. Anywho, so in talking to these gentlemen and another person, they presented a question and said, "Hey, your show, you've been on like 3-4 years, right?" And I said, "Well, yeah, we're getting closer to 5, to be honest with you." And just said, in all honesty, where are you versus your expectations from day one? Where are you in your community and your downloads and everything that you have? Like, are you meeting? Are you doing what you wanted to do? Exceeded? Not as much? And I was like, that's a provoking thought. And I was going to text it to you, but I thought, no, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you, like, how do you feel about 235 eps in regular show, 500 plus overall? Your thoughts?
Well, I think we're both the same way, where we're always striving for better and always want more. So I am, of course, happy with where we're at. If you think back to year one, even year two, I feel like we're way better than we were then. I think especially in the last year, we've really reached a great consistency of our recording, the way we work together. Now we're on YouTube doing all these things. We continue to grow as we go, and we've really increased our listener interaction, things like that. So I love that. Our Patreon continues to grow. So I'm always happy, but I'm always wanting the next step and always striving to gain more.
Yeah, I think the expectations part for me is evolving. Like, if you ask me day one, what's your expectations? I'm like, I don't, just get this thing launched and
Sure.
then get a couple of listeners to listen to our opinions. And then it's like, oh, we do have that. So now I want, let's see if we can reach this milestone. If you told me, would you prefer more downloads per ep? Yeah, always. I would love more listeners. But I do enjoy our interaction. I do enjoy our socials and the people that we're getting there. And I don't mean that in a greedy way. I, of course, want more people. That's why we're always on here saying, hey, follow our socials, follow our this and that. But for the folks that we do have, listening and watching on YouTube, we thank you very, very much. We love it. Everything is going great right now. As soon as we hit year 5 in October, the show ends. But we really hope, spoiler.
Almost there.
But no, thank you, everybody on there. Again, those socials at Take Two Podcast for Twitter, hotline 434-602-1931. Facebook and Instagram, follow all of those pages, subscribe to the YouTube, and then Patreon members, as low as $1 a month, you get to join patreon.com Take Two Podcast. There's a bunch of different tier levels. You get a whole lot of stuff. Not only do you get bonus podcast stuff, you get some merchandise we can throw your way, shout outs, special nuances that we can do with the show. Chris, Lisa, Katz, Vaughn, Kevin, Roy, Craig, G-Banger, Gerald, and Ryan. You guys are our current patrons. Thank you all very much. If you are a regular listener, which most of you are as you're listening, you got a free preview this weekend. We dropped our 2021 preview. What movie should you be ready to watch in 2021 in the theater and on your phone? That's out on Patreon. Members, you guys got that first, but one time only. All the rest of you listeners, go get that and listen. It's on your feed right now. Listen to that, and that's a sample of what type of stuff you're going to be getting on the Patreon. So you can join for $1 a month.
Yeah, and what else do we have to do, folks? I mean, this Patreon's amazing. You're missing out. It's only a freaking $1 a month. I mean, give me a break. You might drop more than that just to get something out of the vending machine at work. Just stop doing that once a month and listen to us, because we got better stuff to tell you. The crazy thing about that episode, though, is that how quickly things change, because some of that stuff was already outdated by the time we put it out, sadly. So that sucks. But we'll talk about that a little later in our news. So
3 big reviews for you guys today. Thunder Force, Them, and This Is a Robbery, right?
This is a Robbery.
Yeah, this is a Robbery. And then Tony's also going to wrap up the Serpent series that we first taked on last week, and he finished that up. We've got some casting, a little bit of DC, a little bit of Marvel, some news. Our news is going to be BAFTA heavy and some more movement, as Tony just mentioned, heavy. But stick around for the entire show. We might get another What's in the Glass.
Ooh.
Again, we're rocking those things out. It is not the chocolate-infused espresso $7 out of a vending machine. You could have paid for 7 months of Patreon out of that little guy.
There you go. Shout out to Slate. Actually, former co-host of the show now works for this company. Shout out to Slate. You can find your espresso chocolate milk in local grocery stores everywhere, I guess.
Let's start the show the way we always do and rock out those poll results, shall we?
Yeah, let's get on that poll, baby. So this week I just wanted to gauge the interest of our listeners based on Godzilla vs. Kong kind of being a big box office success. We talked about that last week, and it got me thinking, like, is this what we need to get everybody going back to the movie theater? Now, I'm wondering if a lot of people were paying attention to the news, and they're like, okay, it's safe for me to go back. The movies are back. Let's do it. As well as the vaccine rollouts. We've got a big chunk of the country that's been vaccinated, and there's more coming, and, same.
Guilty.
I can't believe I've been vaccinated for like a month now almost. So it's crazy. So I was like, I really feel like, and with our release of our 2021, what we're looking forward to, I feel like we're just on the cusp of like movies are back. So let's talk about it. So are you safe, or do you feel safe going back to the theater was kind of the crux of it. And I gave the 4 options. Have you been back already? Are you still waiting on a vaccine? Will you go back in a few months, or do you still just not feel safe? On Twitter, that was basically a 4-way tie, which is insane. We were 1 vote short of it being a 4-way tie. So it was a 3-way tie.
Which one is it? I'll vote that way, whatever it is.
In a few months is the only one that did not get.
Shit,
we got 1 more vote on that. Yeah.
Darn it.
But, some people have been back. Some people are still waiting on their vaccine. They said some people still just do not feel safe. I just wanted to take the pulse of the community and see what they're feeling. There were a lot of other like write-in things and responses. So on Facebook, we actually got former coworker John, who really doesn't comment that often. He commented, "Not anytime soon." And then my neighbor, Kat, what's up, Kat? She said, "No, hard pass" was her gift that she put up. So that's interesting because I just recently talked to her about cons and stuff, and she plans on attending cons and stuff this summer. So I feel like I'd feel safer in a movie theater than I would at a con. So that's an interesting response.
I was literally just going to ask you that because she's your big con friend.
She's actually like involved with Awesome Con and like helping set up and things like that. So
she cosplays a lot, right?
Yeah, all that stuff. So she is excited to get back to the con, but not the theater. So that's weird.
Okay.
And then, so a little bit of a negative kind of approach on Facebook, but then over on Twitter, Ryan L. Terry, he's like, I've been going since July of last year, every week almost, because he also writes reviews. He's a podcaster and stuff like that as well. So I think he's motivated to do that for that reason. But he's been going almost every week since last summer, like nothing changed. He also lives in Florida, disclaimer, so that makes sense.
Oh, they don't have COVID.
They have nothing down there, yeah. So... and then over on Instagram, we got a lot of responses. Dan and Cody, they responded very much so. They're ready to get back. Kat says eventually, which I'm kind of with him. Maybe like another month I'll be going back, Pancake, our buddy Pancake Shy, he said that no, but then when he does go back, he wants it to be with us. So he looks forward to going to see a movie with us. Chris responded he's ready. And then John H. also responded he's ready. Let's do this. So... another person that doesn't really comment a lot, so thanks for reaching out there, John H.
What's up, Johnny H? All right.
Welcome. The Fit LT, as he's known on Instagram. Give him a follow.
Can't wait to go back to the theaters with Shy. Thank God they're going to force us to sit away from each other.
I wonder if he brings pancakes to the theater then. Like it's pancake for the table. Does he bring pancake for the theater? Is it like rolled up like a crepe in his pocket and he just like...
There you go.
Yeah.
What is this sticky? Oh, it's the syrup. Here you go. And he's just like dipping.
Syrup everywhere in his pockets.
Hit us up on the socials, guys. Those polls drop every single Thursday. You can vote all weekend long across the board. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You will find our socials. And you're also welcome to text us or leave a voicemail your thoughts. You can, leave us a voicemail. Say, hey, I voted this way, but I wanted to let you know I'm feeling comfortable if this A and B happen, for specifically. And feel free to elaborate and then share upon your own socials. Sir, are you ready to rock these reviews?
I am.
Boom, 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 boom. Thunder Force. Dun, 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 dun. At one point, go ahead.
I was going to say, I need to look back at the history of our show because this may be the worst like lead review we've ever had of an episode.
At one point, the wife watched with me. I said, "Honey, that is an Oscar nominee, an Oscar winner, and an Emmy winner on our screens together."
Yeah,
And
yeah. Even more than that, I think Melissa Leo also, isn't she?
oh wait, yes, she might not have been on the screen at that time, but in this
Yeah,
film, also Melissa
and
Leo, Oscar winner.
and Bobby Cannavale, I think, has also been at least Emmy
He's
nominated or
Emmy
whatever
been
too.
nominated. He's been
Yeah.
Emmy nominated, yeah.
Woo.
But now we're going to add Razzie noms
Oh,
across.
definitely, definitely for this movie. I think next year, I don't know how this doesn't get all the Razzie noms. Spoiler alert: I gave this 2 stars. I kind of talked about it I did, which I think may sound generous.
Yeah.
But I gave 1 star completely for Jason Bateman. He's the only redeeming part of this movie. The only part that made me laugh was Jason Bateman's character and his one scene in particular with Melissa McCarthy. And then I also gave a full star for the soundtrack of this movie. There were some decent songs, and I was like, okay, I appreciate that. That's where it ends, folks. Those are the positives of this movie. This movie overall really sucks, in my opinion. It's on Netflix right now. If you don't know, the basis of the movie is these 2 longtime friends. One of them is working on trying to create superhuman strength or whatnot so they can defend these villains who've been in society, these miscreants they're called. So she's been working on it her whole life, finally cracks the code, and accidentally creates a superhuman Melissa McCarthy. And then also Octavia Spencer then takes it as well. They work together as a team called Thunder Force to stop these villains. I don't even know why I really described the plot to you. It's silly. It doesn't really matter. Like we said, you also have Bobby Cannavale, Melissa Leo, Pom Clementif also shows up in there. The old Mantis from the MCU. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this movie. It just wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. I watched it on the 1.5 speed on Netflix at that just to get through it.
Oh, God bless you.
It's like an hour 45. It didn't even need to be that long. I will say the one takeaway I thought from this movie as I was watching it is I do enjoy Melissa McCarthy's comedy sometimes, and I think Octavia Spencer is a great actress. Like, neither of them are doing anything wrong in what they're doing. I think it's more the script just isn't funny at the end of the day. I wish this would have been an animated movie almost. If you made this not dirty, like took out the dirty parts and just made this an animated film, I think this might have been really fun because it gave me almost like Incredibles vibes or something in a couple moments, and I was like, this could have been a good like kids animated movie.
Okay.
And maybe that's where it could have been redeemed, but what we got was not good.
Totally redeem yourself. The comedy, they spend a minute on a joke of her eating raw chicken.
And I still don't.
Well,
my stomach still turns from that.
That's the joke. The other people are going to throw up and gagging, but she's still, because she needs raw protein. That's the only way she can survive, whatever. So they make that joke, and then a scene later, she's now FaceTiming, and she's still shoving the raw chicken. And so they go back to the well. And I was like, oh, that joke wasn't good the first time. And now you just literally, next scene, go back. You don't even like circle around with the comedy. I was like, oh, this is just cringing. Yeah, I mean, this is that thing whenever we do trailer talk, and it's like, you just named 7 people that I love. Bateman, McCarthy, Spencer, Leo. I like all of these actors and actors. I like each and every one of them very much so, but you're right. The script was the issue here. Bateman, I think he just owned being a cheeseball in this and had a lot of fun with it. I'd love to know he and McCarthy's friendship, because they obviously have one. They've worked together.
That's what I was going to say. They worked together on, what was it? What's that one movie they worked together? I can't think of it. The one where they're like on the run together or whatever.
Yeah.
And that one wasn't very good, and it wasn't very funny. But I feel like they were better together in this movie and just kind of went for it. Because Bateman is really the only character in the movie that has any kind of like deformity per se, and it's really not even talked about. It's just like, he randomly has crab arms.
Right. Because a radioactive crab pinched his balls.
Yeah, and that's where like his whole comedy comes from. And then, like we said, there's like a kind of quote unquote sex scene. They don't really go far with it, but to see the old Bay was hilarious, and she's like trying to butter him up and get him ready to go. And I thought that was the best part of the movie. Spoiler alert! There you go. You don't have to watch it. That's the best scene of the movie. You're welcome. Avoid this movie at all costs.
Shout out to Maryland. The old Bay is in it. Yeah, it was just boring. There's nothing else I would say. I mean, the whole training montage. I was like, oh my god, day 27 training. Boring. Day 18 boring.
Why are we still giving money to this? Because it's her husband directed and wrote it, and he has a small role in the movie also, Ben Falcone. They've
Yeah.
worked together like 5 times now, I think. Tammy, The Boss,
Bridesmaids.
Life of the Party, Super Intelligence. Those are all Melissa McCarthy movies. That's basically all he directs. He writes
Wow.
and directs her movies. Why are we still giving him money to do this? Stop. Somebody in Hollywood, stop giving him money to do these movies. Like, what was the budget on this? Because it had a lot of special effects.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
If you would have put this in the theater, it would have been a huge bomb, huge waste of money. And like you said, I like all the people involved. It's a shame. I will shout out, was it the daughter? Like
Uh-huh.
I feel bad for her that she was involved in this because it's like, was this your first kind of big shot at being in a movie and then it kind of failed? So she's been in some other stuff like Disney shows and things like that.
Yeah.
So I
Maybe
feel
we'll
bad for her.
see. Maybe we'll see her in Ozark season 4. Like she got
Yeah.
that hookup through Bateman. Like, can I just jump in? All right, that's it, guys. We're sorry. We can't recommend watching Thunder Force if you're absolutely bored out of your mind and you want to be more bored. Then throw this on.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's better out there. Okay, this is a robbery.
This is a robbery, and this is about the world's biggest art heist. Netflix new documentary dropped last week. It's 4 episodes. This is about a 1990 museum heist in Boston where 13 different pieces of art were taken, totaling $200 million worth, which actually have fluctuated through the years, sometimes going up and down, whatever. What did you think about this overall? Did you know about the story? Did you enjoy it? Did you like the way they did it?
I knew nothing about the guy in the museum getting stolen all the good arts. Well, for the rest of the review, I say we both do a Boston accent, which that is horrible. That was really bad. That was so bad. I knew nothing about this. I didn't even know you mentioned you were watching this. I was like, oh, 4 eps. Let me jump on board also because it was like all the time I had for whatever. I should have not watched Thunder Force and just watched this twice. But then it jumps in. And I was like, okay, slow burn. It's
Yes.
very meticulous, and then they built the what's her name garden museum, and there was nothing here in the swampland, but she, whatever. Everything is at that pacing pretty much throughout. But I was like, I still want to know how they did this. Who's the inside guy? How did they get away with X, Y, and Z happening in this thing? So it kept my attention the entire way out, and was very intriguing in how they got away with it.
Yeah, totally agree. If you're going to watch this, stick through the first episode. The first episode drags a bit for sure, in setting it up and whatnot, but it gets better after that, I feel like. I feel like the rest of the episodes get a little bit better. And it really looks into the investigation, has some interesting interviews of people that were involved, maybe even in the robbery themselves and people who work there and, police side, all that stuff. It kind of goes all the different angles through interviews, stock footage, things like that. My only problem with this is it's still really kind of unsolved. Like they can speculate about these things, and a lot of people have died that were involved, and so it's like I guess this is just destined to be unsolved. I mean, I hope at some point maybe one of these paintings will be recovered or whatever, and it'll kind of reopen the interest in this. But that's crazy that it's been over 30 years and we still just don't really know what happened here fully. So it's an interesting documentary, and I knew about it briefly. I was trying to think why I knew about it. I think it was on like a TV show I watched, one episode where they talked about this, or maybe I saw some other documentary about it, whatever, once upon a time where I did know about it. But it's cool. It's an interesting story. I would like to see this done dramatically. I'm surprised they haven't done like a dramatic movie, because it reminded me you could do something like The Town almost with this. And maybe that's just because it is unsolved, so they don't really know how everything went down, and that's why it hasn't been dramatized. But it's an interesting story. If this intrigues you at all, check it out. Only 4 episodes. It's not going to be, a big waste of your time. I thought it was pretty decent.
Yeah, I agree with you, and especially if we can see the face taping that the guy with the duct tape
That was awesome.
coming down. It looked like Killing Joke, or the Joker series where he had a guy. Was like, and of course they come in and like, why did they tape his face like that? More to that.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible. The taping was terrible.
Folks. Moving on, 235 episodes we've done. Tony and I have done probably, I don't know, 135 of them together, and I still messed things up because we weren't supposed to do that review right then. We were supposed to do a different one, but
that's all right. But I rolled with it.
Even though I'm the one that wrote it in the show notes, and I'm the one that put the order together, and I'm reading, I still suck at podcasting. Okay, so you got to watch them.
It's all good. I rolled with it. I'm a professional, so we made it work.
That's why. I knew you could handle it. Just threw that curveball.
All right, so I talked about it last week that Them was coming out, and this came out on Friday. 10 episodes. I think last week I said, I don't know if I'll get through them. I just want to give a first take this week, whatever. I love this show. I was hooked on this show, so I pounded through the entire series Thursday through Sunday. I watched 2 to 4 episodes each day and just got through all 10. So um, this show was great. I really enjoyed the show. I think it was better than I expected it to be. It is a very tough watch in parts. A lot of like racial stuff going on in here, and some heavy imagery and things and words being spouted that are not acceptable, in today's world and all that kind of stuff. So go in with that knowledge, knowing that it may be tough if you're squeamish to those kind of things. But the idea of the show is this family moves from North Carolina in the 1950s. It's considered, they call it the second migration, Great Migration of the country, where a lot of people from the Deep South moved because of race relations and things like that in the Deep South at that time. So they picked up and moved. So these people, this family moves from North Carolina out to California, hoping to have better opportunities out there, whatnot. They moved to Compton, which in the 1950s, Compton was a white, regular, neighborhood, only white people. So this family moves onto this block, and they're the first black family to move there, and the rest of the neighborhood does not like it. And there's a lot of things that happen where they're trying to get this family to move out.
And this is a true story?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I mean, I'm sure this probably did really happen, and it is probably
okay.
based in some truth. But from there, it becomes a horror / sci-fi kind of angle, fantasy angle to some extent, because the things that go on with this family, there's a lot of mental health things in the kind of background of the story, a lot of different like visions and things that happen. The husband has like PTSD from being involved in World War II, and there's things that go on with that. You find out that the wife had lost a child, I'll say, and experienced a rape. So that's involved in the storyline. So there's a lot of other things that go throughout the episodes. You get little pieces of their backstories broken up for you. And then also there's an entire episode, I think it's episode 9, that gets into the background of basically where this neighborhood is from 150 years ago, and what happened there, and maybe why there's weird things now happening to this family as well. So I liked it. I do think in the end, it may have bitten off a little more than it could chew on some of those things. Some of the sci-fi fantasy stuff maybe is a little too high concept or didn't quite explain everything to the fullest extent in that kind of way. But this is like Us meets Twilight Zone with a dash of Lovecraft Country. That's kind of my best way to describe it. So I really had a good time with it. This is right up my alley. And another thing, I really didn't know most of the people involved with it. So Ashley Thomas, Deborah Ayorinde are the lead roles in here, and I didn't really see them in anything before this, so I wasn't familiar with their work. I will say Allison Pill shows up in here. Okay. We've seen her in other things before, American Horror Story, a couple other movies, Scott Pilgrim, things like that. She is an ultimate villain in the show. Like I didn't know she could do that, and she was really impressive in this show, the level that she goes to. So I was very impressed by her work on here. But I think it helped me enjoy the show that a lot of these actors I didn't really know and didn't really know what to expect from them. So that also helped. Ryan Quanten shows up in here too. He was on True Blood. He was like the brother on True Blood. I'm forgetting Jason.
Jason. Yeah.
Okay. He shows up in here for a few episodes with like a kind of weird side backstory-ish thing. So there's a lot more to this than what I thought it was going to be. Even from the trailers itself, there was a lot more to the story. It was intriguing, it was weird, and just a tough watch, but really good watch. So the creator of this show, Little Marvin, I don't think I've really seen him do anything else. From what I'm looking at, I don't recognize anything else he's worked on. Now I'm going to look out for that name because he did a fantastic job here. Lena Waithe was also involved in the executive producing. She's been involved in like Queen and Slim. She started in Ready Player One. So we know her, but this is cool that she's getting involved in behind the scenes stuff as well. And then I will say they also brought on a couple directors that I like and recognize their work. So Ty West is a horror director. He did like House of the Devil, which is one of my favorite horror movies from like the early 2000s. So to bring in those horror directors, I think also helped and give that sense of it. So it very much had like a Twilight Zone-y, Jordan Peele kind of feel. And if you're into that kind of stuff, check it out.
Very cool. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, folks, there's our big reviews for episode 235. We very much so appreciate it. Again, ratings and reviews do help the show a whole bunch also. Don't forget about those bad boys. Jump onto your feed. 5-star rating review is appreciated, and we would love to read that review, see what your thoughts are on the show. For now, you podcast listeners, we're going to take a quick little breather, and we shall be right back.
Okay, so actually, before I move on from that, I forgot to mention the other
Oh,
thing.
oh,
I also love the music and the score of this show. The score was super tense, gave it a
oh,
horror feel, and then there's tons of just like 50s music that's awesome in
cool.
it. But the way that they use it is, it's not on the nose, but they use it in a way like Jordan Peele has used some of his songs or things like that, where it works and it just works with the story they're trying to tell. So I just wanted to shout that out as well.
Rock and roll,
But
literally.
I did finish up the Serpent, which we talked about last week.
Hmm.
I will say, please stick with it. If you were on the fence and you thought it was a little slow and didn't like the first couple episodes as much, it
Sure.
gets better. It gets really a lot better. Actually, the last three episodes I really dug. I was like, I gotta watch these back to back. Like I wanted to keep going. You get a little more backstory finally into the man himself and his wife in the show. You kind of get both of their backstories a little bit more than what we had before. Makes it a little more interesting in that way. And then they are being hunted. Like the police finally catch up to them, and you do see
Oh,
that
nice.
apprehension and the finality of the story. You do finally see that. So once you get to that point, those last three episodes, it really does make it worth it as the tension builds. We already talked about Tahar Rahim last week. Other great performances though in the show. I thought Jenna Coleman, who plays his wife, was really good. She's been on Doctor Who, things like that before. Mathilde Warnier played Nicole, who was like the neighbor that she kind of helps the investigation break at one
Ah,
point, and I
okay.
thought she was really good. And I hadn't seen her in anything else. I tried looking up her IMDb or whatever. I didn't really recognize her, so I thought she was really good. And then Billy Howell plays Nippenberg, who kind of is the Danish uh, guy who starts the investigation. He works for the embassy there and kind of gets the ball rolling. I thought he was really good because his character kind of goes down a hole where he's obsessed with the case and then becomes paranoid that he's going to be a victim of this guy if he finds out about all that kind of stuff. So I thought he played it really well. And he had a small role in Outlaw King, and actually he played Ray's dad in Star Wars, where we just saw like
Oh,
one quick
a little
clip.
snip. Yeah.
I
Okay.
didn't realize that, so I looked at his IMDb. Oh, no, that's Ray's dad. Cool. So, yeah, again, just like This Is Robbery, starts off a little slow. Serpent starts off a little slow. Stick with it though; it's a really good watch, and you get used to the time jumpy stuff. I think we complained about that last week, and it maybe even lessens as it goes on. And then those last three episodes are really, really strong, so it ended well.
So wait, is he a Palpatine or was her mom the Palpatine? Do we
I
ever?
guess I guess it was him. I don't know.
I can't
I
remember
don't
if
know.
we ever found
Maybe
out.
we'll get another prequel series to that, and we'll find out.
Some Star Wars nerd, which we are, is
Yeah.
screaming at us right now. Okay, sounds awesome. Let's jump onto our casting couch.
Okay. Casting couch, I only had two things. The one kind of big one is Phoebe Waller-Bridge has been announced as joining the cast of Indiana Jones
Boo! A
5.
girl? What? This is baloney. Sorry, I'm not sure if you saw
Are
that.
you getting?
Yeah.
Is that really happening
Oh,
already?
100%. And then it's
Really?
also being shamed like, oh, four didn't work with him having a son, so let's just switch it to a girl. Yeah.
But he had a woman with him in every other movie, so I'm
Well,
confused.
she's gonna be his daughter.
Oh, I didn't see that. Is that official? Because I
That's the
saw.
rumor. People are like, oh, because
Oh.
Shia didn't work as his son, let's now switch it because everybody's
Oh.
woke and make it a daughter.
Okay.
Go kiss your butts. Go kiss anybody. Whatever. People, you
Okay.
know.
I didn't see that anywhere. What I
Oh
read,
yeah, I
it
have
just said it
worse friends.
wasn't confirmed. So that's ridiculous, and I don't really care even if it is his daughter. That's fine to me too. I don't know about trying to pass the role on to her or anything like that. I don't think she's the right pick for that. So that is weird.
Yeah,
But I like her. I think she's a good actress, so I'm fine with her being involved here.
I love her being involved. If it's his daughter, cool.
Yeah.
However they figure out how to do that. I mean,
Just
that
get
would.
the thing done before he dies. That's all I care about at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
why don't you just have him act against a CGI person like he does with dogs? All right. The other thing I had was Naomi Watts has been cast in the Goodnight Mommy English language remake, which is for Amazon Studios. I like Goodnight Mommy. Really good foreign horror film. It's kind of creepy, so I'm interested to see what she does with it. The only bad thing is you got Naomi Watts. She's beautiful, and the role in the movie she's covered in gauze. So it's like, oh, you're covering her face. Why cast Naomi Watts?
Um,
So
look
yeah,
good.
that's it. I didn't really have anything else other news.
She-Hulk Disney Plus series coming next year has added Renee Elise Goldsberry. You folks would know her from Hamilton, and you would also know her. She once liked a tweet that I tweeted about her one time. I think she's fantastic. She's been added to She-Hulk. The Spielberg
Yeah,
movie
yeah, I
has
have that.
you
Oh, go
have
ahead.
oh
Yeah.
you have her in Marvel. Darn it, I goofed. So
That's all right. Go ahead.
Spielberg movie cast his dad.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Paul Dano.
Hmm. Okay.
I like Paul Dano in general. What age range are we going for here? I guess he's like the younger dad. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Dano's one of those weird actors. I feel like he brings a lot of weirdness to most of the. That's why I'm wondering if he can do just like a normal role. I feel like I haven't really seen him do a normal role. He's always weird in everything he's in. So I just don't know if I want Spielberg's dad to be weird.
Yeah. 10-part anthology series on Apple TV called Crowded Room has its lead. It's a gentleman named Tom Holland.
Oh, okay. I think I know
Multiple
him.
personality disorder type deal. So,
Oh, so
uh,
he's going to be playing multiple personalities?
yeah, that's what it
That could be
sounds
cool.
like. Hulu limited series called Pam and Tommy has added Nick Offerman to its cast.
Okay. Do we know what he's playing or?
No, I do believe
Hmm.
it is a comedy. But that's me just
Well,
thinking
that's
Nick
the thing.
Offerman's a funny guy.
That's the what's it called? Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson thing. Like,
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, maybe he's
yeah,
like the cameraman or something.
yeah. That's what I'm wondering. Something involved there. That'd be fun.
And then the last thing is Apple TV again is doing the Confessions of a Dangerous Mind series,
Huh?
and they have cast their lead Justin Timberlake.
Really? Man, I am just down today. I don't like I don't like the movies we're reviewing. I don't like the news we have. Screw this episode. Just go watch them.
You know what you need, buddy? You need a good stiff drink. So how about a little what's in the glass?
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. I will try and bring it back up on that angle with the what's in the glass. I don't think I've ever talked about this brewery before, and this is what kind of motivated me to do it. There's a local brewery to me called Mustang Sally. They opened a few years ago. I was pumped when they opened because I was like, "Ooh, they're close to me. Like, I love adding another good brewery." Um, I had a couple of their first offerings that they put out, and I wasn't really impressed.
Mhm.
They were just kind of boring to me. Just here's your typical standard styles. This is what we have, and they seemed like they rushed it where they just wanted to get distribution. Let's get it out in the stores. Let's get it in the local restaurants. Like they were already in my local restaurants right away after opening. Like I could go and get them on tap, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but your stuff is just okay. So I wasn't super impressed. As of late, I've noticed I follow them on socials. They've changed up their team. They've gotten a little younger, gotten some new brewers in there. They've started adding more things on their socials. They've changed up their artwork or their labeling, all that kind of stuff, and been more topical with what they're making. So I was like, cool, I want to give them another shot. So I did, and I was pleasantly surprised. I tried their Halo IPA, which is a hazy made with Mosaic and El Dorado. I liked it. I liked it. It's not my favorite IPA ever, but I will say it's stronger than anything I've ever had from them. And now that I've kind of gone back to them, I'm more interested to continue to go back to them and see what else they're
Okay.
going to come out with. Because they're literally 4 miles from my house. So I was like, it would be great to have a good spot like that. But I was initially let down and kind of disappointed in them. So I'm glad to see them grow and change and be better. So I'm hoping that more things I pick up from them will be better. So yeah, just wanted to shout them out. Mustang Sally. If you're in the Chantilly, Virginia area, go check them out.
Beautiful. That's it for the glass. Let's do a little trailer talk.
Trailers, you didn't watch anything, so I guess I'm going to talk about all the trailers. Which one did you watch? I forget.
One,
Jupiter?
two, three of them I saw.
You watched Jupiter's Legacy, I think, right?
Jupiter's Legacy I saw, Mainstream, and Ghostbusters.
Okay, okay. So Jupiter's Legacy, we had talked about, I think, with initial casting, and then they had put out some concept art of like costumes, things like that. I think we had seen that in the past. This is the first of the Millar verse. What are they calling it? Millar World or something on Netflix, where he cut that deal,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
all supposed to be Mark Millar stuff that he's going to be making for Netflix. And I've heard from some people that they read this book and really liked it, and it's a very good book, and it's going to be something. I think we're in that age where all the comic properties that are not Marvel and DC are going to be like this, like your Walking Dead, your Boys, something that's a little more hard, more
Yep.
mature. So I think that's what we're going to get with Jupiter's Legacy, um, starring Leslie Bibb, Josh Duhamel. It looks like we're getting kind of like a two generations look at like superheroes, where there's old, we see Josh Duhamel and them young, and then now they're older, and the
Right.
kids look like they have powers, all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
looks intriguing. It's coming May 7th on Netflix. Are you going to check it out?
100%. I was in. Old man Duhamel. I want to see
Yeah,
old, and he can kiss my butt to look that good when he's that old. Like
that's true. That's
men
true.
do age well, and he is proving that point. No, it looked good, and like you echoing all the things you said, these are offshoot indie comic type properties. where I think we as a society
We live in a society.
are more accepting of those and more open to those. Like, all right, you know what? You don't have to do those big names that everybody knows. Why don't you tell me a cool story with these other comic heroes, like Thunder Force? I was looking for shit.
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, Millar has a pretty good track record as far as Hollywood
Sure.
adaptations. He did, the source material for Wanted, Kick-Ass,
Yeah.
Kingsman, I think was his as well.
Oh,
So,
Kingsman. Yeah.
yeah, so those right there have all been pretty successful. So this
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
be the next thing that kind of breaks big for him. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. So May 7th, 8 episodes. So hopefully the following week or so, we'll at the very least have a first take for you.
Right. Right.
All right, what else did you watch? You said you did watch the mainstream with
Yeah.
Mr.
Mainstream, little
Andrew
Garfield and Hawk.
Garfield.
Yeah.
What did you think about that one? It looks interesting. It looks like he's going big in this one. It almost looked like him attempting like a jokery kind of role. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, and this is computery stuff or whatever, but him like getting a little wild here, getting a little. Let's do it. I've always felt, and I think Garfield's a good actor. He's got good stuff. He got a bad rap for how the Spider-Man stuff ended, and then his
Mm-hmm.
relationship with Emma Stone ended, and she blew up, and he kind of like under the radar. But this could be nice for him, a nice foot step back into Hollywood. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously loved him in Social Network. I think that's where a lot of people kind of first took notice of him.
All right.
Directed by Gia Coppola. So if you recognize that name, someone else from the Coppola family coming out and doing some work here. I like all the other people involved too. You saw Maya Hawke in here, Johnny Knoxville, Jason Schwartzman. There's some nice people popping up in the cast. This already debuted in Venice of last year, and apparently it's only getting a 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I guess it wasn't super well received. But I'm still intrigued. I'll probably check it out. It looks cool. It kind of reminded me of a movie I reviewed last year called Spree with Joe Carey from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
He was kind of doing the same kind of thing. Just like this is the new age, internet. I must be online all the time, that kind of thing. And this looks like the same kind of thing that Andrew Garfield is kind of tapping into here. All right, what was the other one that you watched? The other trailer?
The Ghostbusters commercial.
The Ghostbusters clip. Yeah, not really a trailer, but I was kind of mad about this. It was intriguing that they dropped this the way that they did, but I wish I could have kept that for the movie. Like, don't do this. And it was unavoidable. It was everywhere on the internet. You saw it. You were spoiled right away. So this was a little clip of Ghostbusters Afterlife where they show Paul Rudd shopping Baskin Robbins, which I thought was hilarious. And then he sees the marshmallows pop out of the pack, and it's a little mini Stay Puft, and then there's a bunch of them. Kind of traumatic, too. They're, like, burning each other. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. That was weird. Yeah. I mean, it was a la like Gremlins, a la Minions almost. I honestly thought this was a commercial for marshmallows. I was waiting for the end for them to be like, Stay Puft Marshmallows available now. Like a promo for that.
I wonder if this is more a deal with I think they're selling toys. And I wonder if this was like, because of the date shifts and all that kind of stuff, like, hey, well, we already were going to sell these. So let's get it out now to get these like people interested in the toys, because I think they're selling toys of all this stuff, and this movie is already supposed to have been out and things like that. So maybe that has something to do with it. It was funny because I watched it with my kid, and he was like, Baskin Robbins always finds out, and I was like, damn, you're right, Paul Rudd and that damn Baskin Robbins. And then so you didn't watch Those Who Wish Me Dead?
I did not. This is Angelina with the firefighter, right?
Yes, and this was on my looking forward to 2021 top 10. So I was pumped to finally see a look at it, directed by Taylor Sheridan, written by him as well, I think, co-written, based on a book. And this stars Angelina Jolie. We saw Nicholas Hoult in there, kind of in a minor role, Tyler Perry, and John Bernthal. So I think it looks good, man. I think it looks good. I'm in for this movie. I love this style. Like I said, anything that Taylor Sheridan has done before, Wind River, Hell or High Water, I like those movies quite a bit. And it looks very similar to that style. So I'm in for it. I love seeing Angelina Jolie. When was the last time Angelina Jolie was in a good movie? I can't even remember. It's been a while.
I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to seeing her back on the screen in a big way. And then lastly, so that one comes out May 14th.
Yeah, HBO.
So mark your calendar for that. Yeah, theaters and HBO Max. And then lastly is Monster. And this one is also coming to Netflix on May 7th, the same day as
big weekend.
What's it called? Jupiter's Legacy there. And this is starring Kelvin Harrison Jr. Nas is in the trailer. Jennifer Hudson. I think it looks really good. I love Kelvin Harrison Jr. I think he's a fantastic actor, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I didn't even know anything about this. I'm looking this up online. I'm having a hard time even finding like information about it. So this one's
Yeah.
totally just flying under the radar here. Yeah, but the trailer looks really good. If you're not familiar with Kelvin Harrison Jr., you will be familiar with him now. And I didn't realize it's an adaptation of a book from 1999. It says it's like a famous book or whatever. So looks like a kid who's kind of has a promising high school career who ends up getting put in jail and possibly charged with murder for something. And whether or not he deserves to be there, who knows? Jeffrey Wright also shows up in here, plays his dad. I like it, man. I like it. I'm going to check it out. I like everybody involved. So that's another one you can look forward to having a review of that same week.
I'm curious. Like, it's not even listed in his upcoming IMDb for Kelvin.
Okay, so I'm looking at it right now. It actually says that it premiered at Sundance in 2018.
Okay.
So it's been sitting on the shelf for a while. That's why. And apparently now Netflix has bought it up and they're putting it out. So, like I said, Jennifer Hudson, John David Washington shows up in here, Nas, Tim Blake Nelson, Jarrell Jerome. I love Jarrell Jerome. So a lot of good people in here. Produced by John Legend, Nas, and Jeffrey Wright as well. So a lot of good names involved. I think the trailer looks strong. I'm a little worried about how it's been sitting on the shelf. That's interesting, but I'm going to check it out.
Only 90 minutes. Sold. Okay.
So that's it. I think that's all the trailers.
We're going to take another quick breather and be right back for the final act of our show. All right, man. I'm ready to rock. Weather's turning. I can feel it. We're coming out. We're coming out. Weather's turning. Gorgeous weather over the weekend. I had a little bone to pick with the guy that makes the decision for our softball fields for my daughter's games.
Okay.
We had a Saturday 2:30 softball game, and we got a little rain Friday. 7 a.m. Sorry, guys. Fields are still a little bit soggy. Done. It was then 72 and partly sunny throughout the rest of the day. And I was like, how can you make a call for a 2:30 game at 7 a.m.? But I was a little salty about it. I was like, come on, buddy.
I remember those. I remember those days, and yeah, they like to be cautious and save the field earlier in the year. That's all that is, you know. Yep.
Whatever. We'll make it up later. All right, back to our show. Let's do a little Hollywood news.
All right, Hollywood news was kind of light this week. Sylvester Stallone has been confirmed that he will not appear in Creed 3. I don't know. Did you feel like his story was complete as of Creed 2?
I was reading that, and it was funny because Michael B. was like, yeah, when he faded into the crowd or whatever, like that was the send-off. And I was like, when did that happen?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that scene in Creed 2. I have to go back and watch, which is fine by me because it's a good movie. But yeah, that's the send-off, that little fading, and he's done. We're done with Rocky.
It's interesting. I almost feel like there was a missed opportunity with Creed 1 then. Like, why not just kill him off with the cancer in Creed 1? And then who knows, maybe he would have won the Oscar if he died on screen.
Yeah, true.
You know? So I don't know. That's interesting, but apparently he will not return for the role. He did say in that same article, though, that he is done with that Rocky IV director's cut. He's going to re-release Rocky IV. So I'm pumped, dude. I'm pumped. I want to see what he does differently. All right. Kind of a couple big news items for the week. Netflix and Sony have a new deal where Sony is getting exclusive streaming rights to Netflix for an 18-month window. Also, they're giving them first crack opportunity at all their made-for-streaming content. And this starts as of next year. So Morbius will actually be the first film that falls into this because it's slated to release in January of 22. So I guess there's no information in the article I read, at least, about how soon after a theatrical release Netflix is going to get it. But they're getting the exclusive streaming rights. So maybe this is just what Sony's doing because Sony doesn't have their own app. You know what I mean? They're like the only one who doesn't have their own streaming service. So, and I was wondering about that because they were really the only one in the game that hadn't had any kind of news about streaming and whatnot. So I guess this is their deal. They're going to put everything that they make onto Netflix. So that's cool. All right. We'll see how that works out. I'd be more intrigued to hear how long that window is, you know. So.
Yeah.
All right. The other big news of the week was Paramount. They have changed a lot of their release dates around again. So Top Gun, that's what I was insinuating earlier, has moved. One of the films we talked about in there, that has now moved July to November, so November 19th. And then because of that domino, Mission Impossible 7 also gets moved because it took the old Mission Impossible 7 date. So now Mission Impossible 7 will move to May of 22, and then Part 8 of Mission Impossible also gets moved back all the way to 23. So a couple dominoes fell there on the Paramount side, as well as Dungeons
Tom
and
Cruise
Dragons.
movement.
Yeah, a lot of Tom Cruise, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dungeons and Dragons moved out of 2022 all the way to 23 now. They moved back almost a complete year. But there was one movie that moved up from October to July, and that's Snake Eyes. So
Yeah.
if you're excited to see the Snake Eye movie, that comes out even sooner, July 23rd of this year. So
Woohoo.
that's kind of fun, yeah. I'm wondering if Paramount, now that they have their Paramount Plus and that's starting to rock and roll, are they going to do something like HBO or Disney and be like, well, this is going to be available on our app, or pay a premium thing and you can watch it, would something like Snake Eyes qualify for that? Like, hey, if you don't want to go to the movie theater yet, watch it at home, or we're going to put it on straight on our app only within 2 weeks or whatever,
Yeah,
So
true.
We'll see. I stay tuned for that news. I have a feeling that might be coming. 10th film in the series of Saw is already in production before Spiral has even hit the theaters. So apparently they feel good about the prospects of Spiral and that it's going to bring back and rejuvenate the Saw series. So the next movie is already in production. Let's see.
It's in my top 10 preview 2021.
There you go. Go listen to that episode, folks. Godzilla vs. Kong. Apparently it was streamed by 3.6 million households in the first 5 days. This is not from HBO. This is from a third party, kind of like a Nielsen that looks at streaming stuff.
Okay.
Their metric is similar to Netflix, where it's just they watched at least 5 minutes. That's what it. So if you watched at least 5 minutes of this thing, it registered as this. So, but still, 3.6 million households in the first 5 days. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It actually beat Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was only 2.2 million.
Wow.
And Zack Snyder's Justice League only 1.8 million. So actually, less people watched that than Wonder Woman. I'm surprised by that. Maybe it's because it's freaking 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
That's
But that was it. Otherwise, the BAFTA results. But we'll wait. Do you have anything else before I get into BAFTA?
2 things before BAFTAs. One, 2024 or 2028. Be ready for Mr. President, The Rock.
I saw that.
Big poll came out, and apparently he's like leading some random ass poll, and then he commented, and he was like, I don't know, we'll see how things are going.
It was like, what, 46% of the country would vote for him or something. I'm like,
yeah, why not?
You know what? Why not? Why not at this point? Can't get any worse.
No clue what your politics are, sir, but I'll vote for you because you drink tequila and lift weights.
Your legs are the size of tree trunks. Holy shit. Did you see his post recently about his Black Adam workouts?
No.
He looks more ripped than he's ever been. I mean, literally tree trunks his legs. It's ridiculous.
Right, that guy. Spoiler alert for The Crown, season 5, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, I think 5. Yeah.
Prince Philip passes away.
Oh, they're putting that in the show now?
No, not at all. I'm making a horrible joke at the passing of Prince Philip. But RAP section, we also had the what's his name? DMX passed away.
True, he was an actor. Exit Wounds, Romeo Must Die. Yeah,
exactly. That, and I mean, of course, the bigger news, not Hollywood related at all. Well, I guess because now Meghan Markle has to go to England and attend a funeral.
Hey, no, I heard that she's already been advised by her doctor not to travel. That's how they're getting away
from front door. God, what a show, Christ. All right, BAFTA time, baby. Here we go. This is our bread and butter. We're going to break this down. And the BAFTAs, I always find are fun because they're a Saturday night.
They split it into 2 days this year.
Right.
So 2 days. They kind of did more of the technical stuff the first day. And the BAFTAs a lot of time are the last one before the Oscars. That's the way the calendar lines up. Your last kind of bid to like, okay, well, what's going to be voted on for what? This is your last, prediction kind of thing. But this year it was weird because a lot of the stuff they nominated was not what was nominated for Oscars and stuff like that. Yeah. They skewed a little more British, a little more, than usual. So some of these films that popped up, Calm with Horses and Rocks, were not movies that were Oscar nominated, and people didn't even know what they were, and were scrambling to watch them like I did. So I was wondering if that was going to factor in, and it did a little bit. So hopefully you waited to fill out your ballot until after these. And I think some things were solidified by the results. It wasn't like crazy results, but I think there were a couple ones that were like, okay, that makes me think, So let's get into it a little bit. Visual effects, Tenet, no surprise there. I think it kind of deserves it. Maybe that will be the only place it wins an award, of course, will be visual effects. So that's good for that. Costuming and makeup, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Again, no real surprise there. That's good that they dominated that. And production design, Mank. another no-brainer kind of in my mind. Cinematography, Best Director, Best Film, and Best Actress all went for Nomadland. So Chloe Zhao got it, Frances McDormand got it. So that's going to be the hardest races to pick for your Oscar ballot this year, folks, is lead actress and supporting actress, because they have gone to different people at almost every one of these award shows. So those two categories are going to be difficult to pick this year. So pay attention to that, because now Frances is on the board also, is winning. So Frances has won, Viola's won, Carrie, like who's going to win? Who knows? And then same thing with the supporting. You got Yu Young-jun winning here as well. I would say she's now the front runner. I'm going to pick her as my winner. I know a lot of people are still saying Bakalova, and that was kind of the early favorite, but I just don't see it now. I really think this solidifies the one award that they'll give to Minari. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Minari's going to win anything else, so I think this is where they would get a recognition. Anthony Hopkins winning actor makes you think for a minute, but that's also BAFTA. He's British, like.
Right.
Is that why, you know? And that's the only place where Boseman has not won so far, I think.
Sure.
So it does make you pause and think for a minute. And now that we've seen The Father, and it is a late breaker, a lot of people didn't get to see it until late February. Are people going to be willing to vote Hopkins over Boseman? I don't know. It makes you think. But I still think Boseman is the favorite there. And then supporting actor Kaluuya. If he loses that Oscar, I would be so surprised, because he's won every precursor, everything along the board. The only thing that makes me wonder about it is with Lakeith getting in there as well. Like, will that help split the vote away enough from Kaluuya where somebody else could sneak in?
Sure.
But in my opinion, those two acting categories, Boseman, Kaluuya, scratch, write it down now. Those are the winners. I don't even think we have to worry about that,
Sure.
Promising Young Woman did win Best British Film, so that's cool. Good for it. As well as the screenplay went to Emerald Fennell, so good for her. Adapted screenplay winner was for The Father. So, again, Father getting a little bit of late love, but could it just be the British home field advantage? I don't know. I talked before about Rocks, and I did watch Rocks, and I'm hoping to review Rocks on an episode I'm hoping to drop for you guys in the next week or two, solo episode there. But that did win a couple of awards. It won the Best Casting Award, which is something I like that the BAFTAs do that I wish other shows did. So that won Best Casting, as well as the star, Bucky Bakray won as the Rising Star Award, which that has gone to some decent people in the past. I want to say John Boyega has won that, so look out for her down the road. Maybe her career will get a little bump from this movie, Rocks. Cool. As well as a movie I reviewed pretty heavily, His House, on Netflix earlier this year. Nice horror film. That won Best Debut British Writer or Director, and that went to Remy Weeks. So that's a good film available on Netflix. Check it out now. Non-English language film went to another round. Documentary went to My Octopus Teacher, which is also on Netflix now. Oh. I will be reviewing that. Very good movie. Mark that down for your Oscar ballots. I think that one has picked up a lot of steam, and that may be your winner this year. And then animated and score went to Soul, as we imagined. And then lastly, Sound of Metal got a Best Sound Award and Best Editing Award. So they did kind of like spread the love around between a lot of these front runners. Everybody got a chance to win something. I guess Nomad was the big winner of the day. Nothing too crazy and off the wall, I guess, though, as far as the BAFTAs. But it's always fun to see these last couple award shows trickle in and where we're going to go with the Oscars just, less than 2 weeks away.
Where we are going is directly at the Oscars now. And Tony and I will have some Oscar preview-y stuff coming up, whether it's on our regular feeds on our regular episode or bonus-wise for you guys to listen to. We will be breaking down, giving you our predictions, and then we will have an immediate after the show reaction episode that we will drop like ASAP as soon as the show ends. Boom, we're going to hit record to give you our instant thoughts, and then we'll probably that week's show after the Oscars, mention them to a degree once we've slept on things for a half a minute. But we are now, Oscars are up next, baby.
Yeah. I mean, even a special Patreon episode we're going to give you guys that's a little Oscar history kind of lesson to some extent. So that could be fun, and I hope you enjoy that as well.
That's true. All right, that's the Hollywood news. Time for a little DC discussion.
Little, because I have nothing. So please tell me what you have in the DC.
Hashtag make the Batfleck movie.
Ooh, I love that. I'm going to go tweet right now.
It did not break the record as Restore the Snyderverse as much, but it got out there. It got some traction. I don't know anyone against this, especially now that we're getting floated some ideas that the Batman is Earth 2, as you've mentioned, that Black Superman movie is probably going to be coinciding there. So maybe DC can do multiple things. So that push got there. To that note, the Flash movie will be giving us a ton of clarity as to where things are in the Snyderverse, in DCverse, like where everything is. And that movie is really going to explore multi-dimensions and what have you. So
Yeah, the one question I have with that, after watching Snyder's Justice League, I know they came out and said, no, the Justice League is canon, right?
yeah,
But you see Flash learn in the Zack Snyder version about his time travel and being able to go back and save everybody. So are we just going to ignore that? And now we're going to see him like rediscover that in
sure,
Flash movie?
yeah,
That's kind of dumb, you know?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and then also he met Iris there. So are we going to have to see that again? Like, are we going to see the puppies and the hot dogs again in
yeah,
the Flash movie? Like, or are they going to try and redo it? I don't know.
yeah.
And maybe that also helps benefit them with the recasting of his dad. They'll be like, well, you didn't really see his. Or no, he was in the Justice cut as well, wasn't he, Billy Crudup?
Yeah. He actually had more scenes in the Justice Cut. They actually cut some of
Yeah.
his out and
Okay.
Snyder's.
So
Yeah,
there's a couple questions there. I'm interested to see what they do with that as far as what's canon, what's not, quote unquote. But
right.
I am anticipating that movie. I mean, hopefully Keaton's involved, like we've heard. I know there's been some waffling there as to whether he was going to do it.
Right.
That could just be misdirection. Who knows? Batfleck should be back in that, right? That's still happening.
That's the rumor. That's the
I
rumor.
love that. I love seeing
Sure.
those guys. I still would love to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan show up as that other Batman that they talked about.
Oh yeah, as Thomas Wayne, and I
Yeah,
mean, we've
because
read the
his
actual Flashpoint comic. That's a huge crux of it. So are they going
and
that route?
I would love to see that. And his wife has said too, like, I'm down. Let me play the Joker. Like, I'd love to
Yeah,
see all that, even if it's just little cameo, crazy sequences that are within Flashpoint.
yeah.
I'm all for it, and I hope that makes that an interesting movie. So, I mean, between that, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man, we've got a lot of like multiverse weirdness kind of coming up in our
Sure.
superhero stuff. So,
I despise her in Walking Dead. I love every time she gets shot in BVS. The actress that played Martha Wayne. I can't think of her darn name.
oh, Maggie on Walking
Yeah,
Dead, what's
Maggie
her,
on Walking
Lauren
Dead. I hated
Cohen or whatever.
Lauren
Well, it's
Cohen.
funny
That's it.
because the other Hillary Burton, who we were just talking about, is Jeffrey Dean Morgan's wife. She was in Walking Dead now too.
Right.
The
Oh,
last
okay.
episode they brought her in as his wife on the
Oh,
show.
really? Mm.
So
Mm. The other interesting in thinking about like Zack Snyder's cut, he plants like he does with all those 4 hours worth of characters, the tension between Wonder Woman and Aquaman and how they always fought. And in the Flashpoint comic, they fight, and fight to try and control Europe and stuff. So it's like, man, Snyder knew what he was doing. He's planting all them seeds, going forward.
yeah, well, and I mean, even in the history, the battle sequence, the Atlanteans and
Mhm.
the Themyscira, all that battle stuff.
Sure.
There's a lot that could be developed there too in that history, and that is interesting.
The other character we haven't mentioned in all of this is Superman, and should he get a Man of Steel 2? This has been a hot topic forever. Well, he might have a financial backer to get a Man of Steel 2 released into theaters. A gentleman we just mentioned, The Rock, has now put his name out there to produce a Man of Steel 2 because he wants him involved in Black Adam, and he wants to move the character forward into Man of Steel 2 and then continue that. So he said he's totally down to finance Man of
You
Steel
better
2.
watch that because it doesn't seem like WB agrees with him.
No, he said his one caveat, it will have to go to theaters. He doesn't want to do it if it's just like this HBO Max release type stuff. He wants it in the theater.
I don't see that happening. Rock, sorry.
I'm with
I
you,
think
Rock. I bought 10 bottles of his tequila this weekend just to help out, just to pitch in.
I think he's more likely to become president than to make that happen.
I
So.
despise tequila. I can't handle it at all. Instant vomit. That's how I should lose weight. Done with DC, on to Marvel.
Marvel, you stole my casting that I had earlier
I
with
apologize.
the
I do.
No, it's fine. Angelica already got mentioned earlier being in She-Hulk. It's funny because her character is named Amelia, and they said they don't really know anything other than that. They're not really giving any. I'm like, why not just name her Angelica? Because she's already Angelica.
Angelica.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
The only other thing I had for Marvel was kind of funny, kind of fun. I don't know if you saw. They released the Zemo cut. That was a big thing.
is it him
if you-
dancing?
Yes, if you were watching The Falcon and Winter Soldier, there was a big movement after that episode that was release the Zemo cut. We want the full-length scene of him dancing. And they did. They re-released it. So it's like a minute long, and it's
Yeah.
when the white man's overbite, biting the lip a little bit. And they released like an hour-long version of it where it's just over and over that like 30-second loop.
Seriously?
Yeah, so it's on YouTube. It's an hour-long clip of just him doing that over and over for 30 seconds.
Watch that
so I love
instead
that.
of Thunder Force, everyone.
Yes. Way better use of your time. Yes. So that was it. I didn't really have anything else for Marvel.
Well, then it's time to wrap up the show and go forward.
Going forward, next week is going to be light for sure. We have theatrical release In the Earth, which I am looking forward to. This is Ben Wheatley's new horror movie that he kind of secretly filmed during quarantine. Not a lot of people were involved or knew what was going on with it. And he's just like, hey, you got a movie coming out. So the preview looks interesting. I'm hoping it's a big hit. I would like to see it. I'm not going to go to the theater to see it, but eventually I'll get to it. Also, Nobody hits PVOD. So maybe that would be able to be watched in time to review for next week's show. We'll see. I know that was one we were kind of looking forward to, so that's hitting PVOD this weekend. I forgot to mention last week, a new show debuted on HBO last night called The Nevers. And this was a new kind of fantasy show. I want to say Joss Whedon was involved in it originally, and this was also one of the things that he kind of got pushed away from as his stuff kind of came to the surface. But so big fantasy show that HBO is hoping will be big for them. I forgot to mention it last week, but so that's out there if you want to check it out. Just debuted on Sunday night. And then Disney Plus has a new series coming this week on the 16th called Big Shot. And this is the John Stamos girls basketball coaching thing. Yeah. So that's dropping this week. But other than that, there's really nothing else. So kind of a short show, light show this week. Next week, maybe even shorter and lighter, folks. Kind of been a lull.
Perfect time for you guys to join our Patreon. Patreon.com, Take2Podcast. It's only $1. 4 different tier levels. If you want to contribute more, you are welcome to do so. But you get 40 plus eps of backlog stuff you're welcome to listen to. Very minimal in there is topical for timeline-wise. So you can just go back and listen to some top 5 favorite cars in film. Things like that to debate, and you won't be disappointed at all. And then everything going forward, patreon.com, Take2Podcast. Jump on there for as low as $1 on Thursday. Take2Podcast, you get the poll that will drop across all of our socials. Don't forget to vote on there, share it with your friend, tell everyone, and feel free to elaborate on your choice. If you pick something, you want to comment below, say, hey, this is why I picked option number X or what have you. On Friday, you have to log into your Take Two podcast feed. It will take only 1 minute. 1 minute, I promise. And you do a 5-star rating and review. That's all you have left to do on Fridays for Take Two Podcast this weekend. But then on Sunday, we are going back to Spotlight. You're getting a drop, and we are going to have a in memoriam, another episode. Is this our third person who's passed away?
Sounds about right. Yeah,
third or fourth person who is no longer with us, and we're going to be breaking down the wonderful life and career of said actor on Sunday. So I hope you guys look forward to that drop.
Yeah, there's actually one that wasn't dead at the time that we did it. So I guess that should count now in retrospect. But yeah, we like to do this every once in a while where someone that has been gone for a while, we revisit their career. So it's been one that's been on the schedule and kicked around for a while. I'm excited to talk about them.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, we had like a 2-pack. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is pushing our fit. Either way, I think you guys are going to enjoy the episode. Take Two Spotlight. That's going to drop on Sunday, and then we'll see you guys back here next week for episode 235. Have a great night, everybody.
See you.